on paper, but it doesn't always work out that way. I think a rider like Daniela Khalif from Chile could certainly get up there amongst the top riders. She is starting 6th as Talita Deleuze gets the push, and now she will do her 3 laps, and it's on the final 200 meters that we take the time. So Deleuze getting that bike up to speed. Once we get the first couple of riders out the way, they'll start to appear on the track very quickly. They do move through the start lists fairly fast. So Deleuze just for Brazil, kicking off proceedings on day 7 of these Pan American Games. One more day of track cycling to come. Day 10, we've got more cycling, a men's and women's road race. So if you like your cycling, still more to enjoy. So Deleuze takes the belt, tries to get up and get that bike moving as quick as she can. 6.442 at the split. She's going to come through just outside 12 seconds, 12.956 for the Brazilian. And the big question is, will the Pan American Games record go in this qualification session? We saw it yesterday with Nicholas Paul in the men's. It's Jalmia Rodriguez underway now. Part of the women's team pursuit squad for Venezuela. So Rodriguez now getting herself up to speed, the rider from Venezuela. .956 the time to beat. And she gets moving now. What can she do here? We get the split time as well. That gives us an indication of just how well the rider is going. 5.893, so she has the green light on. And Rodriguez in 12.006. So she goes quicker than Deleuze from Brazil. Puts her in top spot for now. She just has to wait and see if it will be enough to get into the top 12 for the 8th finals later on in this session. Valeria Cardozo on the track now for Colombia. Colombia qualifying 3 spots, 3 quota spots for this women's sprint competition. We'll see Mariana Salazar a little bit later, and then of course Marta Bayona. So first little benchmark we're looking for as a rider going under 12 seconds, and then maybe we'll see riders go under 11 seconds. Rodriguez, Cardozo, I should say, taking the belt. Looks like she's moving very well here, getting that bike up to speed quickly. Could be on for a decent time here. It's 11.262. And that is a very, very useful time for the Colombian. Puts her in top spot after 3 competitors. As we work our way through the list, we see riders that have got a little bit more experience on the track. Carolina Barbosa. Next up for Brazil. Barbosa was in the keirin yesterday. Didn't make it through to the final. Can she go better in the women's sprint competition? So Barbosa is going to be outside of the time, or is she? Yes, second. 11.272. It was a little closer than we thought. Second best time. Finished 11th in the keirin. Sits in second place at the moment. Next up from Costa Rica, Abigail Recio. 8th in the keirin. Coming second in the race for 7th to 11th. Well, she knows the time to beat 11.264. We've seen Barbosa get pretty close to that. The 11-second barrier could be broken here. And she gets herself up to speed, ready to start the sprint lap. The 5th rider on the track takes the bell. And starts the clock with 200 meters to go. After 100 meters, she's running in second spot right now. Has she got enough over the final push? 11.506. Goes into third place. Best time still belongs to Valeria Cardozo from Colombia. So next up from Chile, Daniela Kolilev. Made it through to the finals of the keirin on day 6 and just missed out on a medal, finished in 4th place. She took that keirin race on pretty early, but wasn't able to hold on for a medal. She's a rider that definitely has her eyes on getting through to the latter stages of this sprint competition. What can she do here? Well, the clock not running. There should be some backup timing, so apologies for that. Not able to bring you a time. Hopefully there was no issues on the at the venue. So not got a time for you there. I'll keep an eye on the scoreboard. Hopefully there's no issues and she doesn't have to run again. So as soon as I do get a time for Kolilev, we shall bring it to you. Well, that is not her time. She wasn't 4 minutes, 38 seconds. 11.349, there you go. We get the time at the same time. Goes into third place for the time being. Mariana Salazar next for Colombia. Colombia with such good pedigree in women's sprinting. running in second at the moment. And she eked out a little more over the line and goes into top spot, 11.248. So Salazar now the leader. Colombia taking the silver medal in the team sprint. Marta Bayona, Valeria Cardoza, and Yareli Mosquera were the riders that rode in the final for Colombia. They lost out to Canada. Emmy Savard and Sarah Orban. We'll see both of them running later. Paula Molina next to go for Chile. So 11.248, the new fastest time. And Molina getting roared on by the crowd here in the velodrome. Another clock running here. What can Molina do for Chile? Third spot at the halfway split. And she stops the clock in fifth place, 11.417. Just behind her teammate, Polilev, who said 11.349. So might not be enough to see her through. Kayla Hankins for the USA next to go. USA finished in fourth place, losing out in the bronze medal race to Mexico in the women's team sprint. Kayla Hankins, part of that squad, along with Mandy Marquardt. Marquardt, who missed out on a medal in the Kieran, finished in fifth place there. Now Hankins underway. She'll start the clock here. Strong rider, what can she do in this qualification? She's the quickest so far. Can she go under 11 seconds and stops the clock? 11.037. That is a new fastest time in this women's sprint qualification. Pan American Games record, 10.890. Could be under threat as we've still got 10 riders to go in this qualification. Now Jessica Salazar next up for Mexico. The lead out woman in the team sprint squad that took the bronze medal. Just ahead of the USA. So Hankins now leads. Now Salazar gets off the saddle, drives the bike forward. Up to speed, nice and early. Knows she's on the sprint lap now, and the clock will start at that white line. Very smooth style. She's running in second place at the moment. And in with a time of 11.192. Good enough for second spot right now. That time will guarantee her a place in the 8 finals later on. Kayla Hankins also guaranteed to be riding the Chana Dalja for Suriname. Rode in the Kieran on day 6. Finished in 9th place, not making it through to the final of the women's Kieran. Some of the riders, sprinters, enjoy the Kieran, some less so. Some prefer just doing the team sprint and the individual sprint. Some riders like to do all three, team sprint, individual, and the keirin. Just depends on perhaps your individual style, of course, what your strengths are. So Dalja getting up to speed now. She'll take the bell here. So Dalja starts the clock. How close to that time of 11.037 can she get to? Well, 7th spot right now at the halfway split. She's outside 11 seconds, 11.565 into 9th place. And that is unlikely to see her into the top 12. So next up for Argentina is Natalia Vera. 6th place in the keirin final, rode well to get into the final. Just the 2 rounds in the women's keirin. So quite a bit of riding yesterday. And back out on the track today. She'll be expecting to get into the top 12 here and to ride again. Still up off of the saddle as she drives across the start-finish line now, starts the clock, back on the saddle. Bike moving around a little bit while the body is, the bike staying pretty planted on the track. 3rd place at the moment, and she's in 6th place, 11.318. Kayla Hankins still leads, 11.037. 6th place might not be enough right now. Still 7 riders to come. So Emmy Savard getting underway now. Gold medalist in the women's team sprint. So we know just how good she can be, but now doesn't have a teammate, she's on her own. So working right up at the top of the banking, hugging the barrier, and then she'll dive down on the inside to get that kick of acceleration as she crosses the start line. Does she get a green light here? Well, 6th place, 5.612. Can she recover a little bit towards the line? 9th, 11.454. And that may not be enough for Savard to go through. Kayla Hankins, 11.037, still the quickest of anybody. Be a nervous wait now for Savard to see if she could get into the top 12. Valentina Luna next to go for Argentina. Salazar Valles still in 2nd place, 11.192. Salazar Sanchez for Colombia. Colombians in 3rd and 4th right now. Valentina Luna up to speed. And she's in 10th place, 11.502. Well, surprised to see some of these riders not going as quick as I thought they might. Could just be conditions in the velodrome. Expect the velodrome to warm up throughout the day. It did spot a door open, the velodrome as well. A lot of them are almost like mini airlocks, and you walk in, the humidity's quite high. It's pretty warm in the velodromes. All helps to get those fast times now. Dahlia Palmer, the bronze medalist in the women's keirin. Is she able to get through into the 8 finals? There's no repecharges after qualification. You've got to be in the top 12. And then you move into the individual, or the head-to-heads. So Palmer underway, approaching the halfway split. It's 11th place right now, 5.766. What can she do over the line? Doesn't look like she's got the speed compared to others. 11.693. It's all pretty tight. And we've got 4 riders to go. Can anyone get under the 11-second barrier? It's over to Yuli Verdugo, Sarah Orban, Mandy Marquardt, and Marta Bayona. Yuli Verdugo got the bronze medal in the team sprint. Is she able to progress into the top 12 here? Challenge for another medal at these Pan American Games. So Verdugo takes the belt. 11.037, the quickest time we've had in this women's sprint qualification so far. But now Verdugo has the green light. Can she dip under 11 seconds? 10.965, that is the quickest time. Still outside the Pan American Games record, but we're inching ever closer to it. So Verdugo looking good in qualification. Whatever happens with the remaining 3 riders in this qualification, she's guaranteed a top 4 seeding. Sarah Orban on track now for Canada. Part of the Canadian team that won gold in the women's team sprint competition. Canada taking a silver at the 2022 Commonwealth Games, a gold at the 2022 Pan American Championships as well. So what has Sarah Orban got here? We've seen one rider under 11 seconds. That was the last rider, Verdugo. Can Sarah Orban get close to that? Starts the clock now. And the Canadian underway in qualification. What does the split say? Well, she's got the green light. Can she maintain this speed and this power? And she's in 10.790. That is a new Pan American Games record. The quickest time, a new record to go with it. The 2 riders still to come. Spectacular qualifying. So 2 riders to go. Mandy Marquardt missed out on a medal in the team sprint. She came into that squad for the final. 5th in the keirin on day 6. Can she get close to that time of Sarah Orban? Verdugo down to 2nd, Hankins down to 3rd. Now Marquardt takes the bell. Super experienced competitor. Usually knows how to get it done. A big cheer from the coach, but that was blisteringly quick from Orban. Marquardt running in 4th at the moment. She'll be in the top 12. She stays in 4th, 11.156. And that will see her through into the 8 finals pretty comfortably. But Sarah Orban, by far the quickest rider. And we've still got one rider to go, Marta Bayona. Silver medalist in the team sprint for Colombia. Gold medalist in the keirin, one of the stars of Santiago 2023 in track cycling. 2 medals already at these games. So Marta Bayona, the last rider. In this women's qualification. 10 wins in the Nations Cup. 2 World Championships, silvers. In the keirin. Fair to say the keirin, more of her specialty, but she is a fast rider. And Bayona takes the split. She's in the lead at the moment. Will we see the Pan American Games record broken again? We do. 10.699. A new Pan American Games record. Sarah Orban didn't hold on to it for long, but Marta Bayona, the top seed, and she wins the qualification. And with that time, that marks her out as the favorite alongside Sarah Orban for this women's sprint competition. Throughout the 2 sessions today, we'll have the 8th finals, followed by the quarterfinals. And then the semi-finals will take place in tomorrow's session, day 8 of the Pan American Games. So a lot of riding for the sprinters. We'll get a look at the final results. We'll see the top 12. Bayona and Orban, along with Verdugo, all going under 11 seconds. Americans in 4th and 5th. Jessica Salazar in for Mexico. 3 Colombians in the top 12. But Bayona well clear. Disappointment for the riders in 13th place. Emmy Savard, she misses out. But Chile happy to have 2 riders through in the top 12 for those 8 finals, which are happening just a little bit later on today. Dalia Palmer will be disappointed to finish down in 17th place in qualification, but she's already got a bronze medal from these Pan American Games. Well, look back at the replay. Verdugo of Mexico, the first rider to go under 11 seconds. She went 10.965. Only held the lead for one rider because Sarah Orban was up next. And Orban smashed the time of Verdugo, riding the 200 meters in 10.790. Well under the Pan American Games record of 10.890. So she was briefly a Pan American Games record holder for 2 riders until this woman, one of the global stars of track cycling, Marta Bayona, stepped up and dropped in with a time of 10.699 to take that Pan American Games record and, perhaps more importantly, get herself in to these 8 finals and beyond as the top seed in the women's sprint competition. Coming up in a few minutes' time will be the men's team pursuit qualification. men's team pursuit qualification getting underway in a couple of minutes, or maybe less than that, in fact. Mexico are ready. There's 6 teams in this: Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, United States, and Canada. You want to be in the top 4. That is the aim after this qualification. In the first, we go into the first round later on in this session. We'll have in that first round the team that qualifies in first will race the team who qualifies in fourth. The team that qualifies in second races the team who qualified in third, and then the winners of those two go into the gold medal race. 5th and 6th race off in the first round for the minor placing. So Mexico underway. Fernando Nava, Sebastian Ruiz, Thomas Aguirre, and Ulises Castillo, the team for Mexico. Did wonder if maybe Ricardo Peña Salas would ride for Mexico. Silver medalist in the Omnium. This the out-and-out time. Oh, Mexico got a rider down. They're down to 3 riders. Let's hope he's not in the way. Well, that is a big, big surprise to see a rider fall like that. Maybe just clip the wheel on the change as we were watching the coach. The coach was holding the timing board just to give the Mexican riders an indication of where they were at in terms of their schedule. But dropping to 3 riders after that crash, you could see the rider down. This is not going to help the Mexican challenge. Well, coach has got to do enough to just keep the motivation, the focus with these 3 riders. Not an easy thing to do. This was not, of course, part of the plan. They'd have been hoping to have held all 4 riders for much of the race. They have to adopt a different strategy now. It is just all out, empty the tank. And that is all Mexico can do. Maybe a chance of a top 4 might have gone here. Well, the rider who fell is back on his feet. That is good to see. You see their little gaps forming between the riders. That's not helping with the slipstream, and the rider in third is in danger of just losing connection with the rider ahead, having to put that extra effort in just to stay on second wheel. Sebastian Ruiz riding on the front for Mexico. The riders will communicate a little bit with each other during the run. Well, they've come back together here. It suggests maybe the pace has dropped a fraction. A round of applause for the rider who went down for Mexico. Approaching 3,000 meters. Again, it's a big effort when it's just the 3 riders for much of the run. Again, they're staying pretty tight now. Well, not the longest of turn there from the rider on the front. Again, who's losing that connection with the rider in second. It's back to Ruiz on the front now for Mexico. He's looked like the strongest rider in this squad. 2 laps to go, but Mexico in a bit of trouble here. The third rider just has to keep going. Be out of the slipstream now. Ruiz doing a huge turn on the front. He'll take the bell. Well, Mexico having a few problems in this qualification. They'll come together here. But still, a third rider is where the time will be taken 4:08.914. Well, that is a Pan American Games record. .428.864 was the previous record, set in 2011. The Pan American record in the 4K pursuit, 3:46.324, set by Canada at the 2020 Olympic Games. Well, there was the crash. Again, Michael Foley was in that team that set the Pan American record. We'll see Michael Foley in this Canada squad, who starts 6th. Next team lined up. It is Argentina. Thomas Moyano, Marcos Mendez, Ruben Ramos, Agustin Ferrari, the team for Argentina. So 4:08.914, the target for Mexico. Target set by Mexico. The target for Argentina is to go under that 4:08.914. Canada will have a target under 4 minutes, I'm sure of that. So Mexico have the fastest time, but they could have gone quicker. Having that fall and then losing the third rider just off the wheel of the second rider. So could have potential of this split. Looking at the splits times for the second and third kilometers, 1 minute 0.4, 1 minute 0.7, but the last kilometer, a 1 minute 0.3 for Mexico. Just losing it, and that was due to being down to 3 riders and having a rider fall. So Argentina, no, if they can keep 4 riders together, stay close to the time of Mexico over the first sort of 2 kilometers, they'll have a good chance of at least going ahead of Mexico, maybe sneaking into the top 4. That will be the aim. You see how easy things can go wrong in team pursuiting. It nearly happened again there on that change. The riders are trying to get so close to the wheel, the rider at the back. When they're making those changes, it's easy to touch, and the slightest of wheel touches and you're down at about 60 kilometers an hour. It's not fun. Well, Argentina keeping it pretty close to Mexico. Not letting the gap drift out too much. A thumbs up from the coach. They're approaching just about half a second off the pace of Mexico, but if they can avoid losing any time, they have a good chance to be able to go quicker than Mexico over the final kilometer. It's all about keeping the 4 riders for as long as possible. And now Argentina have the advantage. It'll be another thumbs up from the coach, I'm sure. Yep. Not the biggest of advantages that they've got, but... And it's actually a red light now, but coming after the change on the front. And Argentina now down to 3. And that gap up to nearly a second. So Argentina don't want to let it get out too far. I thought they would be able to get ahead of the Mexicans here just by avoiding too much trouble, but no, 1.390 the deficit, the red light on. And that thumbs up from the coach may turn to a thumbs down pretty soon. Still just over 1,000 meters to go for Argentina. Agustin Ferrari, the rider who dropped out. It is Marcos Mendez on the front, 1.334. So keeping the gap in touch. But it was the final 500 meters where Mexico just lost a little bit of time. So Argentina have got to not let up. It's still under a second. They can recover that. But these final 2 laps have to be strong. They do get a little closer. Got to keep all 3 riders together. As they approach the line, they'll take the bell this time. It's still just under a second that they need to find on the last lap. It was where Mexico lost it, but the gap is stretched out again. They make a change on the penultimate bend. And the time is going to be very, very close to that of Mexico, but now nearly 2 seconds. And Mexico are going to hang on to top spot here. 4:08.775. Well, they just do it on the line. I gave it to Mexico, but Argentina doing it, and it was the 3rd rider. Just being able to stay in touch. Well, all 3 riders staying together. 4:08.908. So just ahead of Mexico by a few hundredths of a second. So solid run for Argentina. They'll be hoping that they can now see off one of the 4 remaining teams and progress through into the top 4, where they know they'll at least have the opportunity to ride for a medal. But making their way onto the track now, the team from Chile just getting the bikes all lined up, ready to get underway here. Team for Chile, Hector Quintana, Jose Luis Rodriguez, Pablo Cesteros, and Christian Arigada. Chile picked up a bronze medal in the men's Omnium with Jakob Decker. So what can Chile do here? Are they able to get in the top 4? Can they go ahead of Argentina? 4:08.908. Mexico 4:08.914. Opportunity for Chile to get into the first, well, all the teams go into the first round, but just the top 4 teams will have the chance to progress into the medal rounds. So Chile get their challenge underway. Hector Quintana, Jose Luis Rodriguez, Pablo Cesteros, and Christian Arigada. It's a rapturous applause, a huge roar from the crowd. And Chile get up to speed and now settle into the run. They do a lot of training in this velodrome, as you'd expect. A great facility in Santiago. They've got the green light on early, riding on the front. Now it is Rodriguez. Thumbs up, but there's not a lot in it. Rodriguez doing a long turn on the front, and this can be very helpful on this bank here. No, he's still got, he does pull away, take it over. Cesteros. They're starting to build on their advantage over Argentina, who lead. It's over half a second now, but still very early in this race. They want to get into the top 4. That is the aim in this qualification. Gap now out over a second. How close to the 4-minute barrier can they get? That used to be the big barrier in men's team pursuit. Of course, we're now way under that. The world record, 3:42.032, set by Italy at the Tokyo Olympics. Filippo Ganna in that race just was out of this world. So Chile down to 3 riders now after 2 kilometers. Rodriguez had done some big turns on the front. Cada on the front now for Chile. Well, Rodriguez, who'd been doing those big turns, is still there, but the rider in third is dropping back, and this is not good for Chile. 2.5 seconds their advantage, but down to 3 riders, and they're going to have to either come off the pace a little or hope the rider in third can find a little bit more energy, because they have to have 3 riders finish. The gap is starting to come down, as you'd expect. Oh, and this is not great for Chile here. You need to have all your riders together in team pursuing. They've got 3 riders out on their own, and the coach must be screaming at them. Well, Chile not riding to the schedule they would have planned. Into the final stages, 2 riders working together, and because of these problems that Chile have had, they've lost that advantage. They need to get all 3 riders back together. They're outside 7 seconds back now, and this, it's fair to say, was a bit of a disaster for the host nation. With the time taken on the third wheel, there's no point having a rider out on their own. There'll be a few shakes of the head, getting the pacing all wrong, perhaps overstimulated for that one and just trying too hard. But Chile with 4:14.795, not what they were after. Well, it was going okay when those 3 riders were together. However, there was the thumbs up. But either the communication went wrong. Had 2 riders together at one point. They did all come back together. You can see the rider that crossed the line in third was not particularly happy with how that went. Well, Chile have to go back to the drawing board. It means Argentina are going to be in the top 4. Now we move on to Colombia. Brian Sanchez in there for Colombia. Has a Pan American Games medal in his career. Colombia won a gold at the Pan American Track Championships in 2016. Does a lot of riding on the road, does the 29-year-old Brian Sanchez. Jordan Para, Juan Esteban Arango, and Nelson Soto. The other riders in the team for Colombia. Well, Colombia, I do beg your pardon, just waiting for the call to get on the bike and get their challenge underway. Argentina still lead, 4.08908, just 0.06 of a second ahead of Mexico. Well, there was the warning beep for Colombia. It should be 30 seconds till they get their qualifying run started. So Colombia underway. 4.08.908 the target for Colombia. We've seen Mexico have some problems, Chile having some big problems, so can Colombia put a clean run together? Don't be too worried about those times at the start. Team's just getting up to speed, and Colombia experienced in this sport. They know the plan, the schedule they have to ride to. They won't be too bothered about what the other teams have done. The opening kilometre and a half, it's what happens at the end that matters. Coach appeared to be telling them just to perhaps almost back off a fraction. If you go out too hard, you can see what happens. We saw it with Chile. Mexico, after the rider who crashing, having to ride with 3 riders for much longer than they would have been expecting to do. The gap out to round about a second at the moment. All going to plan so far for Colombia. Argentina in the lead at the moment. That's the time that we're benchmarking against at these splits. Colombia looking very settled, very smooth. Keeping that gap nice and manageable as they approach the 2-kilometer mark in this qualification. Still with all 4 riders together. Now it's just out over a second, and sometimes call it a death pool. You've got 4 riders and they take a big turn. One rider takes a big turn towards the end of the 3rd kilometer, the 2nd or 3rd kilometer, and just gives those riders a bit of a break that are in the wheel to allow them to go on and push over the final 1,000 meters. The light's surely about to turn green for Colombia. It does. Looking well oiled here. Everyone sitting nicely in the slipstream as they approach the 3,000 meter mark. Still keeping all 4 riders together. A little bit of a disconnect there on that change, and the gap starting to build now. 2.261 after 3 kilometers, and this is where Colombia will expect to be strong through the final kilometer. Again, all 4 riders still together. If one's going to pull away, it may be fairly soon. They keep going with 4. Well, they're going to keep all 4 towards the end. It's unlikely. We normally see the teams building, times dropping as we get into the first round and then the medal rounds. Colombia will want as good a seeding as they can. They've got 6 seconds at the moment. Can they perhaps get under the 4-minute mark? It'll need to be a lightning quick final lap. Time taken on the 3rd rider, of course. It's been a strong performance from Colombia. Now they start to get into that line of 3 riders. And it's 4 minutes, 0.82. Just missing out on going under 4 minutes. A nice run from Colombia. They take the lead. Now, depending on what happens between themselves, between USA and Canada, Colombia in a good position ahead of the first round. First round in the men's team pursuit coming up later on today in the 2nd session. And the men's team pursuit medal races will take place in session 2 on day 8 of these Pan American Games. Two teams to go. USA up next. Anders Johnson, Colby Lang, David Dominowski and Grant Kuntz. Anders Johnson rode in the Omnium, ended up finishing down in 6th place. He won the tempo race in the Omnium, but just wasn't able to pick the points up that he needed in the points race. And then everybody was surprised by Hugo Nestor Ruiz Cali, who gained a lap in the points race in the Omnium to come through and take the gold ahead of Ricardo Peña Salas by just 1 point. So USA underway. Anders Johnson, Colby Lang, David Dominowski and Grant Kuntz. They have the early advantage. USA took the gold 4 years ago in the team pursuit ahead of Colombia. Chile taking the bronze 4 years ago. Brian Sanchez for Colombia, who we saw in the Colombian squad, was part of the team that took the silver medal. Different team 4 years on for USA. They won that gold 4 years ago with a 4:03.796. So that Pan American Games record of 4:23 that's on my start list doesn't make any sense, given that USA won with a 4:03.796. Never trust the start list, folks. Well, you should trust them, really. They are pretty helpful when you get them. So USA just a little bit behind Colombia at the moment, but still very much in touch. And now get the green light again by a small margin. They'll be through the halfway point after this bend, and we'll see if they're still on pace for a under 4 minutes performance. 2:02 at the halfway mark. But they'll be expecting to, particularly through this next kilometer, to try and build a little. Colombia were close to got under 4 minutes. 4 minutes 0:82. Actually, the winning time for USA was 4 minutes .772 in that Pan American Games in 2019. Colombia almost quicker than that in this qualification, but you would expect that. USA down to 3 riders now. They didn't start with 5, but they've got nearly a second of an advantage coming through 3 kilometers. Very, very smooth ride, and now they're starting to maintain that advantage. 3 laps to go, it's half a second. Anders Johnson just at the back, and he's having to work really hard here. Colby Lang on the front for USA at the moment. Anders Johnson's cannot afford to lose touch. And now they've got a red light. Johnson is giving it absolutely everything. As we know, the time taken on the 3rd rider, and this is not ideal for Team USA. They're outside the time of Colombia, and this could help Colombia's seeding. Well, more disappointment in the team pursuit qualification because that's not ideal. 4:01.019. They go into second place behind Colombia by losing that 3rd rider. 4:01.589 the time in the end. I think what's happening is the clock is stopping on the 1st rider, but that's not the official time. So we're seeing the times just occasionally updated when they just check it all out. Yeah, so Colombia's time, 4 minutes, .181, slightly different to what we had written down. So the Canadian team getting ready to go, the last team in this team pursuit qualification. Carson Mattern, Christopher Ernst, Michael Foley and Sam Richardson. Michael Foley gave it a good go in the Omnium. Finished on 114 points, 7 points away from the medals. Did finish second in the elimination race. Just wasn't able to pick up enough over the points race to really challenge. At one point, I thought he was going to try and go for a lap. But a few riders had that idea in the Omnium. Easier said than done. So Canada, the last team to go in the men's team pursuit qualification. They are the Pan American champions from the Pan American Track Cycling Championships, which took place in San Juan, Argentina back in June of this year. Michael Foley and Chris Ernst were both in that team. But they're bringing in Carson Mattern. Sean Richardson was in the team as well. Canada winning the Pan American Track Championships in 2022 as well. Again, Chris Ernst and Michael Foley riding on that day as well. You would expect them. They are the favorites for this. 4 minutes, under 4 minutes will be the target for Canada. They're already over a second in the lead. Again, a lot of the riders here for Canada from Ontario. Chris Ernst, 24-year-old from Kitchener. Good individual pursuit rider as well. Silver at the Pan American Championships in the individual pursuit behind Chris Ernst, also out of Ontario. Well, Michael Foley second, Chris Ernst the winner of that individual pursuit at the Pan American Track Championships this year. Anders Johnson took the bronze in that race. Approaching 2 kilometers and nearly a 2-second advantage for Canada. The favorites for gold, but they've still got to do it. And we know just how easily things can go wrong in this event. Any event on the track, to be fair. So well on schedule to go under 4 minutes here. Expect them to go even quicker than that in the first round and in the final if they need to. Nearly 2.5 seconds. 2.7. This is all very comfortable for Canada. And the coach will be aware of that and will just tell them not to do too much. They just need to be ahead of Colombia. That is all that matters, and then their seedings will sort themselves out. They'll have the, on paper, slightly easier path through to the final. After 3 kilometers, Canada down to 3 riders, but the gap out over 3 seconds. We've seen other teams have some problems keeping 3 riders together. Michael Foley on the front. You would think with the experience of this Canada squad, they will not do that. The coach will be telling them where they're at. And it's better to just back off, ease off slightly and keep the 3 riders together than motor on and end up losing the 3rd rider, and that could really hammer the time. 2 laps to go for Canada. The gap out over 4 seconds. This could be low 350s. At this pace, very, very impressive. So they take the belt. The Pan American record of 3:46 set by Canada at the Olympic Games. 3:55.877. Super time. And that is a new Pan American Games record for Canada. Not a Pan American record where we include all events, but the Pan American Games record, 3:55.877. How quick can this team go? That is the big question for me. A 3:55 in qualification suggests if they need to, if they get into the final, they could go into the 3:40s. Impressive performance from Canada. This just the qualification as well. So later on in the second session, we should have Canada going against Argentina. Colombia against USA. Mexico against Chile in the first round. Canada or Argentina one of them will go into the gold medal race. Colombia, USA will race to get into the gold medal race as well. The losers go into the bronze medal race. Mexico and Chile race effectively for 5th and 6th place. Well, not effectively, actually for 5th and 6th place. Bit of a spread of times, 3:55.981 the quickest. Nearly 5 seconds quicker than Colombia. Colombia well positioned in second. Actually, not nearly 5 seconds, 4.2 seconds back. Chile down in 6th place. They had some problems, as did Mexico. While Argentina lucky just to get ahead of Mexico right on the line. Small margin there. Semi-final time in the men's sprint competition. Kevin Quintero against Nicholas Paul. The men's sprint finals will take place in the second session of the day. Remember, this is best of 3. Now, Nicholas Paul set that 9.574 in qualification. The Pan American Games record. It's a 3-lap race. Best out of 3 heats if we need it. Winner, of course, into the gold medal race. Losers into the bronze medal race. So Quintero, the Keirin World Champions, 24 years old. Nicholas Paul, the Commonwealth Keirin champion, second at the World Championships this year, 25 years old. He's the defending champion and one of the superstars of track cycling. But he knows Quintero is an elite athlete, so he will be wary. Nicholas Paul, for sure, is the favorite. But Quintero has got some sprint on him. And he's very, very tactically aware. Some cat and mouse games going on. Very slow stuff. Maybe this is the plan from Nicholas Paul, because this is what he's doing. But when you're going up against someone that is a real specialist in the Keirin, keeping that speed down can help, because sometimes the Keirin riders have got that real burst of speed at the end. But Quintero wants to take it up, and Nicholas Paul watching him, keeping him high up on the boards. But Quintero will try and dive down as they take the belt. Paul still looking over his shoulder, and now up to speed on the sprint lap. And can Quintero sit in the slipstream and come round the outside, or maybe go down the inside? But Nicholas Paul should have this one. He takes the first race of the semi-final. So Quintero has to take the second race in the semi-final, or it will be the bronze medal race for him. But Nicholas Paul doing the job in the first of the semi-finals. Well, that sprint lap very quick, 9.7. Very, very fast. So Nicholas Paul doing exactly what he needs to do, and he'd like to get it done in 2 goes if he can. Second of the men's sprint semi-finals. Nick Wams from Canada up against John Mfat. Wams 9th in this event in Lima 4 years ago. They get the whistle and underway. John Mfat, silver at the Pan American Championships this year in the Kieran. Took the bronze in the sprint competition. Kevin Quintero lost out on gold to Nicholas Paul. First one. That is a good scalp for the Canadian. A nice victory. John Mfat, though, do not rule him out in the second race. He will have to win it to take it to a decider. Nick Wams doing exactly what he needed to do. Wound it up pretty early. John Mfat was looking for the advantage, and Nick Wams really shut the door on him there. Well, Nick Wams already has a gold from the team sprint competition. So with the first races in the semi-final done, it's time to move on to the next race on the track, which is the women's Omnium getting underway, the scratch race. Then we'll come back to the second races in the, and we'll go to the women's sprint 8 finals first. At some point we'll have to squeeze in the second races of the men's semi-finals. Just double check another schedule for you. We'll do the women's Omnium scratch race, then it'll be the women's sprint 8 finals, then the men's semi-finals will get underway again. Around about 40 minutes time or so. We'll do the tempo race in the Omnium, followed by tiebreakers if we need them in the sprint semi-finals, and then we'll have the 8 finals rapid charge in the women's sprint to get us through the day. So tempo race coming up for the women, 7.5 kilometers. Not the tempo race, it is the scratch race. We'll get that right for you. 40 points for winning the scratch race. 38 for second, 36 for third, 34 for fourth. The points only available on the line. Just getting a shot there of Devony Collier for Canada, starting on the down the base of the track. As we look through the start lists in this women's Omnium competition. So 7.5 kilometers, very simple. Get to the finish line first, and the scratch race underway. Joseph Amber Page racing for Barbados. Alexi Larissa Costa for Trinidad and Tobago. Colleen Gulick for USA. Dos Santos Rodriguez for Brazil. Catalina Inés Sotos Campos for Chile. Claudia Barro Arango for Cuba. Jasmine Gabriela Soto Lopez, the independent athletes squad. Devaney Collier for Canada. Aguirre Mangui from Argentina. Hernandez from Colombia. Abreu Alvarado for Venezuela. Azevedo Mendoza for Mexico. Espiritu Santo Estevez for the Dominican Republic. That is your lineup. 30 laps to go in the scratch race, and it's Azevedo Mendoza who was on the front. Costa there for Trinidad and Tobago. Well, it's usually pretty cagey, the Omnium. In this scratch race. Watching the rider from Trinidad and Tobago. Colleen Gulick for the USA. Well, the Omnium these days is really all about the endurance, as it's the scratch race, the tempo race. Finish up with the points race as well. Not forgetting the elimination. So just looking through some of the riders. Claudia Barro Arango from Cuba there. So important to get off to a good start in the Omnium. You can leave yourself with a lot of work to do in the points race, and that means it's going to be very difficult to pick up the points. You could be a marked rider, as we see Devaney Collier. Canada doing so well in the women's team pursuit, and Devaney Collier part of that team pursuits squad that took the gold medal. Well, occasionally you can get some little splits in the bunch, as we see Joseph Amber Page from Barbados here, just behind the Mexican rider, Yareli Acevedo Mendoza. All pretty cagey. A few riders just looking to take it on a little bit at the front, but the pace not super high as you'd expect in this 7.5 kilometer race. It's 30 laps of the track. Everyone just keeping an eye on each other. Yareli Acevedo Mendoza. Rode in the team pursuit squad for Mexico. They were actually caught by Canada in that final. Canada were exceptional in the team pursuit final. Pace just edging up a little bit here. Nearly a little bit of trouble, I think, for the Cuban rider, Arango. With all the points available on the line, it is so important to get near the front when the sprint starts to wind up. Just got to be so careful. Avoid any trouble. I've got a rider off of the front at the moment. 17 laps to go. Are they able to bring it back? It is the rider from Argentina, Mangi. But the bunch just closing in on her here. "16 laps to go. Make that 15 over the halfway point of the race, and we'll expect the pace to just start increasing. Keep an eye on Devaney Collier. There she is, the lead-out woman in the team pursuit squad for Canada. She'll have an eye, I'm sure, on a medal here in the Omnium. But there is a bit of sprinting ability needed. Devaney Collier does have a good sprint on her, to be fair. Commissaire watching on. All eyes on the riders. Riders can be penalised if they do an unfair sprint. Well, nobody wants to really grab control of this one. There'll be 12 laps to go once we cross the line here. So 4 kilometers to go. It's just like a warm-up ride for some of these riders at the moment. Everyone trying to conserve energy ahead of what is bound to be a frantic sprint. One rider goes for it. Soto Lopez, the independent athlete squad, off the front. It's Devaney Collier just injected a bit of pace into the bunch as well to make sure they try and reel in that rider. She's got a bit of a gap here. Well, there'll be 9 laps to go here. And now she's got to wait. Soto Lopez. Expect the bunch to ramp it up a little here. She's looking over her shoulder, which is never a great sign. You've got the pace to see this through, and the bunch are closing in on her here, and Soto Lopez just moving to the top of the banking. Well, now things likely to start to get faster and faster. Chile on the front with Sotos Campos. Well, this is Sotos Campos. Goes across, it's the rider from Trinidad and Tobago, Alexi Larissa Costa, who makes the move. This could be a big move. She's got the advantage here. With 6 laps to go, she crosses the line first. She will take the 40 points. 5 laps to go now. Oh, this is looking pretty good for Larissa Costa. Can anyone close in, or she is going to take the 40 points on offer here and start off the Omnium in style. It could be a sprint for second place, but Larissa Costa is charging. Not sure the bunch are going to be able to bring her in here. And Larissa Costa has timed this to perfection. Rider from Trinidad and Tobago. We'll have 2 laps to go. She laps one rider. Is anyone going to be able to bring her in? I don't think so. This is going to be a sprint for the minor placings in this one, but Larissa Costa takes the bell. She's on the final lap. So Larissa Costa looking for the 40 points. Colleen Gulick on the front for USA. Larissa Costa takes the 40 points. It's a sprint for second. I think Amber Page and Larissa and Colleen Gulick sprinting for second. Maybe it was Amber Page that got it. We'll wrap it all up for you, but Larissa Costa from Trinidad and Tobago takes the scratch race in the women's Omnium. Superb start to her Omnium competition. And that gets her off with that maximum points as we move into the tempo race. Just a little bit later, there is Colleen Gulick. She's in top position as well. Just waiting to confirm it all for you. We'll see that moment where Soto Lopez tried to get away. Didn't work for her. And here, Costa, after Soto Lopez had tried her attack, Costa tactically very, very aware. Once the bunch had brought back Soto Lopez, it was then that Costa made her move. It's the moment where Costa crosses the line, but it's the sprint for second that we want to see. Or maybe it was Colleen Gulick that got it. Hard to tell from that angle. Joseph Amber Page was in the mix as well. So we'll get the results from the scratch race in a few moments' time. It was Amber Page that gets 38 points. Gulick in third, Acevedo Mendoza in fourth. And Sotos Campos in fifth. Collier finishing down in ninth place. She gets 24 points for that. It's 38 to Amber Page, 36 to Gulick, 34 to Acevedo Mendoza. $40 points on offer in the scratch race, the tempo race, and the elimination race, and then we add whatever you get in the points race, which will be one of the last events of the program. To the totals that we've had from the 3 previous events. So we move on to the 8 finals. In the sprint, winners go into the quarterfinals, losers into the rapid charge. So Marta Bayona just watching on. Up against the rider from Chile. Molina Rodriguez here for Chile. Marta Bayona so quick in qualification, 10.699. We have 6 heats here. So Marta Bayona just watching there, and she goes down on the inside. Now Bayona starting to wind it up. Molina Rodriguez, no match for Bayona here, and Bayona surely will just ride away. Rider from Chile trying to keep in touch with the Colombian, but the Colombian's got this one under control, and she goes through into the quarterfinals. So solid riding again for the Colombian. Job done. And she'll go into quarterfinals. This quarterfinals coming up in session 2. So Sarah Orban will be up next against Olilef Barrios from Chile. Orban, who qualified in second place with that 10.790. She held the Pan American Games record for a couple of riders until it was beaten by Bayona. But Orban knows that she's in good form here in Santiago 2023. Little chat between the commissaires. Should get the whistle, get underway. So Orban had very good games. We'll want to make sure this one. Rider from Chile put in an 11.394. Orban with that 10.790. One of 3 riders to go under the 11-second barrier. A lot of noise for Barrios. Sarah Orban with experience and the pace to be able to potentially hold off the rider from Chile. Riding on the blue band towards the bottom of the track, 2 laps to go. Orban moving up high. And now the pace starts to be injected into this sprint. Barrios was down low, but keeping Orban up high. As Orban got the power to go around the outside, that is the plan for the Canadian. She does that. And we're going to have a good sprint here. Orban gets in front. Barrios on the lower line, but Orban is going to come through and take this one. So she moves into the quarterfinals. Just one race in this one. We don't do the best of 3 in these 8 finals. From the quarterfinals onwards, we do best of 3. All of the riders that lose in these 8 finals will go through to the repechage race. There'll be 3 riders in each race in the 2 repechage heats for a chance to get the remaining 2 spots in the quarterfinals. So next up will be Verdugo Osuna from Mexico up against Natalia Vera from Argentina. So Natalia Vera and Verdugo Osuna lining up in the 3rd of the 8 finals. Vera 6th in the Kieran race on day 6 of these Pan American Games. This is a pretty tough heat here. Verdugo Osuna 10.965. Vera 11.318. And Vera building the pace pretty early here. Just making the Mexican try and work for it. Maybe Verdugo Osuna was expecting that sort of approach. A little feint to the left from Verdugo Osuna. Just keeping Vera alert. Place in the quarterfinals up for grabs, of course. And now Verdugo Osuna drops low and they wind it up pretty close here. She's going to try and move Vera back up the boards. Not quite. But Natalia Vera keeping in touch with the Mexican as we enter the sprint lap. And we know the pace of Verdugo Osuna, 10.965. That may be too much for Vera. Keeping it very low on the bike, but she's not going to be able to come around and take this one. It is Verdugo Osuna who grabs it. Takes her place in the quarterfinals. So kind of as expected, it's going the way of the top-ranked riders from qualification so far. But once we get through to heat number 6, where 6th and 7th race each other, that is where it's pretty tight. Kayla Hankins up next. Up against Barbosa from Brazil, who rode 11.272. Time that held up for a few riders.
Forcing the junior riders to go to the blue line, that means that she was relegated, and Daniela Julias won the match. Entonces, el resultado aquí que la canadiense estaba en la carrera contra Daniela Quieres, que se fue relegada porque pasaron la línea de sprint, entonces se queda con una victoria Daniela Quieres. Carolina Barbosa, la campeona nacional de velocidad. And we have Cada on the track representing USA.
So Kayla Hankins underway on the sprint lap now for the USA. Barbosa trying to keep in touch with the American. Can the American, who put down a good time, fourth in qualification, hold on? And she does. Kayla Hankins takes that one and moves into the quarterfinals.
What'd you draw?
Mandy was born in Germany, where she grew up in Florida. She was a child flipper as well, very active swinger and runner. When I was cycling short, she was a medalist for criteria at the time child as a junior. Should be part of the national team, the U.S. national team, super medalist on the road race as well, on the nationals. Now she is fully dedicated to cycling.
Así es, la estadounidense entonces
Estamos encontrando a los 6 ganadores que pasarán a las semifinales y donde el resto de los atletas y deportistas pasarán entonces por
Heat 6, Jessica Salazar-Valles for Colombia, up against Marinés Salazar-Sanchez. Jessica Salazar-Valles from Mexico up against Marinés Salazar-Sanchez from Colombia to get into the quarterfinals. Last of the 8 finals, and this is the one that is very, very close in terms of time from qualification. These two riders ranked 6th and 7th from the qualification, so on paper the closest match that we've had. Big news in this sprint competition, in these 8 finals at least, is Sarah Orban relegated from her sprint. Nice, Salazar-Sanchez winds it up, and here comes Salazar-Valles right the outside. The Mexican on the sprint lap trying to get right the outside of the Colombian. She's done that, but now has to keep the pace up. Can Salazar-Sanchez do anything about it? It is Salazar-Valles who takes it and goes into the quarterfinals, which will take place in the evening session. And those quarterfinals, of course, best of 3. See it again. Salazar-Valles was watching the Colombian closely, but in the end she had enough to come through and take it. Wrapping up a few other victories, Kayla Hankins taking it against Barbosa from Brazil. Heat number 5 went the way of Mandy Marquardt from the USA. So the women's sprint 8 finals all confirmed. We'll have the quarterfinal lineups confirmed after the repecharge, which will be the last race on the track. We now get ready for the men's sprint semi-finals, the second ride. We'll have third ride if we need it after the tempo race. Tempo race coming up after these ones. So Nicholas Paul and Kevin Quintero raced for gold and silver at the Pan American Championships earlier this year. But this is the semi-final. Nicholas Paul has the advantage. A win here, and it's gold or silver for Nicholas Paul.
Así es, vamos entonces con la semifinal masculina en velocidad, donde Nicholas Paul, representante de línea.
Fans from Trinidad and Tobago watching on as their hero looks to get into the final again in a major competition. Quintero will go into the Keirin as one of the favorites, maybe the big favorite. Nicholas Paul might ride the Keirin as well. So Nicholas Paul quite far back, watching Quintero here. He knows just how fast Quintero is. Nicholas Paul riding that 9.574 qualification. Day 6 of these Pan American Games. Pan American Games record. Nicholas Paul will be quite happy here. He can watch Quintero. Quintero ups the speed, and Nicholas Paul gets into position, keeping the Colombian up by the boards, but the Colombian's powerful. Tries to go round the outside. Nicholas Paul drops low. And separate again. We're on the sprint lap, and this is going to be all about pure power here. Not many in the world can match Nicholas Paul, and look at him go. Spectacular from the man from Trinidad and Tobago, and he's into the final. 73.763 kilometers per hour. That was impressive from Nicholas Paul. Takes it 2-0. Quintero into the gold, into the bronze medal race. Nicholas Paul will race for gold again at the Pan American Games. So Quintero has the chance of a medal still. So second semi-final, about to get lined up on the track. Nick Wilms from Canada. He took the first one up against John Enfa from Suriname. So pressure on Nicholas Wilms here. It was a close battle in the first race. John Enfa is an exceptional rider. Nick Wilms already with a gold medal in the men's team sprint. Took that gold along the sides, Tyler Rourke and James Hedgecock. Will it be another medal for Nicholas Wilms? If he wins this one, he's guaranteed gold or silver. John Enfa will want to take this one to a third race. If we do, that will come up after the tempo race in the Omnium, which is coming up next. John Enfa quite far ahead of Wilms, and that will be part of the strategy. See Wilms just slowing up. Now the speed starting to ramp up. There'll be two laps to go after this one. Nick Wilms is stepping on the pedals now, trying to go around the outside. It's not 3 laps to go. They're going to take the bell here. We're onto the sprint lap. Nick Wilms has just got to avoid dropping too close to John Enfa, but John Enfa's got the speed here. Can Nick Wilms come round the outside, or are we going to go to a decider? It's not going to happen. John Enfa takes it. We go to a decider. It's one apiece. So John Enfa taking the second race. Commissaires watch everything as they did in the women's sprint as well, where Sarah Orban was relegated. So John Enfa and Nick Wilms will have to go again after the tempo race. And that'll be in about maybe 30 minutes time. John Enfa pretty close to that red line. Nick Williams did. It was that little move there above the red line. So the riders will be getting ready now for the women's Omnium. This is the tempo race. Second race in the women's Omnium. 13 riders in the Omnium. 40 points up for grabs in the tempo race. This is a little different to the scratch race. There's a 30-lap race, 7.5 kilometers. 1 point awarded to the winner, or the first rider across the line on each lap. But that's after the 5th lap. If a rider gains a lap, you score an additional 20 points. If you lose a lap, you lose 20 points. So this one is all about tactical awareness. We'll have a look at the start list there. Alexia Larissa Costa taking the scratch race, so she is on 40 points. So riders just getting ready for the start of this tempo. Got to watch for those riders that try and gain a lap. Those 20 points can be so valuable. They're not added to your overall Omnium total. They're only for the tempo race, and whoever's got the most points at the end of the tempo race will pick up the 40 points. So slightly different to how the sprint works. So we get underway. 7.5 kilometers. 30 laps, same distance as the scratch race, but no points available for the first 5 laps. So we take the gun. It's all about positioning, and in this tempo race you often end up with riders kind of all over the track. Amber Page in second place in the standings on 38 points. Pauline Gulick in third. Acevedo Mendoza in fourth for Mexico. And Catalina Inés Soto Campos for Chile in third place. And there is, in fifth place, I should say, there is the rider in fifth on 32 points, 8 points behind the leader. From Argentina just trying to get off the front. Now you can do that. There's no points on offer, but you might be able to pick up the first points available. We'll try and keep you abreast of the points as well as we can. Santos Rodriguez from Brazil is in 7th place. Alvarado from Venezuela in 8th. So they take the bell, and sprint points will be available after when they cross the line the next time. Well, it's Costa coming to the front. Oh, it's the rider from Chile. It's Soto Campos taking the points there. And if you get away early, you can start racking up points pretty quickly, because it's 1 point every time you take a lap. Santos Campos, having 2 points. Rider from Venezuela, Alvarado, getting a sprint there. Santos Campos is racking up the points here. So Chile celebrating another to Alvarado. Got to watch the start-finish line pretty quickly. We've had 5 sprints. 3 have gone the way of Sotos Campos, 2 to Alvarado, another to Sotos Campos. That's 4 for her. She's sitting on 4 points right now. It's just the points you get for crossing the line that count. We're watching the lead group on the track. Another for Soto Campos. Still got 20 sprints to go. A couple of riders in danger of losing 20 points here. Well, there's the main bunch. They could gain a lap. Rider from Dominica struggling. Alvarado getting her 3rd sprint. She's on 3 points. These two now just starting to get away. Well, 20 points would be very handy if they can make the catch. Just to be on the whole bunch. Another one to Soto Campos. 9 sprints gone, and she'll just be looking to put a bit of distance on Alvarado. Santos Campos is now 5 points ahead of the rider from Venezuela. She gets another one, the rider from Venezuela. They are going to lap the field here. Alvarado was down in 8th in the standings. There they are at the back. She picks up another one. That's 5 sprints for her. The rest of the field were caught napping by that early attack. Another point to Soto Campos, gaining a lap. That's 20 points for her. And she is on form now. 20 points, of course, to Alvarado. Nobody's going to catch them unless somebody else gains a lap in this one. Acevedo Yaroli getting the sprint there. So a couple of points for the Mexican, who was in 4th coming into this one. Once you gain the lap, you go back into the bunch. So points available for the rest of the field. A couple of points for the Mexican will just help her out in the standings. And Amber Page getting her first points on the board. Got to watch for the lead group of riders. Yareli getting, Acevedo Mendoza getting another point. Make it 3 for her now. Colombian riding well here. Hernandez. He was in 6th in the standings. Just want to pick up some points. Another point for Soto Campos, who is looking good in this tempo race. Hernandez now starting to try and make a move here. She's now got a couple of points on the board. Make that 3 points on the board. Soto Campos and Adri Alvarado well clear of everybody else. They're likely to finish 1st and 2nd, as anybody else can gain a lap and pick up a few more points. Well, it's Hernandez again that is on the rider making the move. Should have 5 points now. There's 4 more sprints to go. Hernandez probably wants to gain a lap and try and maybe move into 2nd place, but she's running out of time in this race to do it. Soto Campos still in the lead for Chile. 2 laps to go. It's another point to Hernandez. The bunch, what's left of it, well, quite a few riders still in the bunch. Look to be out of reach. She should take the bell on this lap. It'll be the next lap she takes the bell. Do apologise. She is clear in 3rd place now. Now Hernandez takes the bell. On course for 36 points. To Soto Campos and Adri Alvarado gaining a lap. Well, the tempo race comes to a close. Good ride from Lina Marcela Hernandez, but an impressive start for Soto Campos and Adri Alvarado. They picked up the lap on the rest of the field, and that was enough to give them the maximum points. Puts them both in a good position ahead of the elimination race and the points race that come in session 2. Well, we see the final results. Catalina Soto Campos, 27 points. Adri Alvarado on 24. Hernandez finishing in 3rd place. Acevedo Yareli just picking up a few points, puts her in 4th. This was the moment. Soto Campos started to go. She went early. Fabio Alvarado They worked together pretty well. Soto Campos was picking up the majority of the points. Once they gained the lap, nobody was really going to be able to catch them unless they gained a lap themselves. It's a good race, the tempo race. If you get it right, like Soto Campos did, you can do very well. She moves to 72 points in the Omnium standings. Hernandez moves to 68 points. So Soto Campos came in 5th place, but she is now in a great position with 2 races to go in the women's Omnium. It's the 3rd and final race in the men's semi-finals in the sprint competition. Now Nick Wams took the first one. John Mfa took the second. So it all comes down to this race to go into the gold medal match against Nicholas Paul. Kevin Quintero awaits in the bronze medal race. Expect this one to be cagey. It's one apiece. You don't want to end up in the bronze medal race. So they take the whistle. Here we go. The last of the semi-finals in the men's sprint. Sprint finals coming up in the second session of the day here. So Nick Wams out in front. John Mfa just watching. I think Nick Wams will think he maybe got the tactics a little wrong in the second race. He's got the raw pace. Maybe he'll try and wind it up a little early. Well, John Mfa wants to go. He's going quick now, and Nick Wams watching and marking him closely as well as you can from the lead position. 2 laps to go. This is when the speed now usually builds, and John Mfa dives down. He takes that inside line, and Nick Wams has got his work cut out now. John Mfa has the advantage. He moves out. Nick Wams goes for the low line, but the door is shut by John Mfa. Nick Wams is going to have to come around the outside. Is he going to be able to do it this time, or will John Mfa end up in the final? They are neck and neck, sprinting at its absolute best round. The final turn, John Mfa has the advantage. Nick Wams sits up. It's not to be for the Canadian. John Mfa from Suriname goes into the final of the men's sprint to race against Nicholas Paul for the gold medal. He had to do it the hard way, coming from 1-0 down in the semi-finals. But he wins race 2 and race 3, the decider. Well, he wound it up pretty early. And Nicholas Wams just not able to match the pace. Gave it everything he had, the Canadian. But in the end, John Mfa had that low line. Smiling across the line. Job done from John Mfa. A little celebration, but now he has to focus on Nicholas Paul. Not an easy task ahead for Nicholas Paul or for John Fa when you're facing one of the best in the business. Two races to go, and this session will come to an end. We've got 3 riders in each of these sprint rapid charges. Barbosa from Brazil. From Chile, we have Paula Molina and Valeria Cardozo from Colombia. Rodriguez, to apologize, Barbosa rode 11.272. Molina 11.417. Cardoza 11.264. All very close, as you would expect in terms of time. Who has got the best sprint? This is for a place in the quarterfinals, which come up in the second session of the day. And the rider from Chile, Paula Molina, is lurking at the back. Spring a surprise on the 2 riders up in front. Barbosa leads the way. Cardozo in second at the moment, and Molina is going to wind it up early here onto the sprint lap. Can Molina catch up and give the host nation more to cheer about here in the velodrome? It is Barbosa on the low line. Cardozo trying to come round the outside, but is she going to do it on the line? No, Barbosa takes it from Brazil. So the Brazilian into the quarterfinals. So Barbosa on the lower line, just able to hold off the Colombian. Cardozo got it pretty close, but in the end, it wasn't to be, so her challenge comes to an end, as does that of Paula Molina from Chile. Well, second rapid charge. Sarah Orban in this one. Bit of a surprise. We thought she'd won her heat, but she was relegated. She wrote that 10.790, which makes her the out-and-out favourite for this one. And Natalia Vera and Salazar Sanchez probably a little disappointed that Orban was relegated, because it makes their job even harder. But Orban will know there's still a race to be won here. Second in qualification, but if she's going to get through to the medal rounds, she's going to have to do it the hard way now. Last bit of action in this first session of the day. And we'll be back later on for the second session. So Vera of Argentina, Orban of Chile, Salazar from Colombia. It's the penultimate day of track cycling at Santiago 2023. And this last of the rapid charge heats gets underway. Orban, the favorite on time. But this is sprinting, folks. One little mistake and you can be out of it. It's all about the alertness, the awareness of what the other riders are doing. Vera on the front, Orban in the middle. Just one rider progressing. Orban dropping low. Just steps on the pedal. They're up to speed pretty early here. They'll take the bell on this lap, and now Orban watching Vera around the outside, but Orban will settle here. Salazar trying to get on Orban's wheel, but this is where Orban is so strong. And the Colombian right on the wheel of Orban, but Sarah Orban takes it. She had to come through the rapid charges after that relegation in the 8 finals. She gets the job done in the rapid charge and still progresses into the quarterfinals. Not the way she'd have wanted to have done it, having to put another sprint in the legs before the quarterfinals, but there's plenty of time before she has to race again in the second session in those quarterfinals. Well, Sarah Orban will look back at the video, if she hasn't already done so, of that 8th final, just to look at the relegation. Talk with the coaches as well, I'm sure. Well, that brings us to an end of this first session of the day here at the Velodrome Santiago 2023. The second session gets underway with the women's sprint quarterfinals. We've got the Omnium elimination race, the men's team pursuit first round to sort out the gold medal races, and then the only medals up for grabs in the second session are the men's sprint finals. That is going to be spectacular. Jer-John Mfa against Nicholas Paul for gold. Kevin Quintero against Nick Wams for the bronze medal. And then we finish the second session with the points race in the women's Omnium.
La mueve de derecho. Excelente, vamos a usar.
Juana, vos también podés hacerlo.
El deporte vive en ti. Juegos Panamericanos y para Panamericanos Santiago 2023.